Hello everyone, TLSG here, back again with another daily Marvel Snap video. So today we have a brand new build around the new featured location, or less so around the new featured location and more so around control in general. So a lot of the decks that are really meta right now operate on the fact that they can do their combos really well. So they can push 40 power into each lane, they can push out really large cards, they can do some really strong ongoing card effects. A lot of times that doesn't leave room for them to have those counter cards to really disrupt their opponent. And so I wanted to build a deck where I was able to kind of counterplay around what the opponent has and where the opponent is playing to be able to run the deck list as optimally as possible given that particular matchup. And so that means several tech cards that are going to be good against different deck lists. So in this deck we have a Rogue, we have Shang-Chi, and then we have Killmonger. So for a Zoo style deck, we do have that covered. A Deadpool deck, we could drop Killmonger at the very last turn. Our Rogue is going to steal a very important ongoing ability. So a huge proportion, I think it's something like 33% of deck lists right now that have been logged on one of the fan sites run Iron Man in it. And so Iron Man is such a polarizing card. The effect that it has on that lane is so hard to overcome. And so if we are able to steal that Iron Man ability when the opponent is not anticipating it, then all of a sudden we can swing that lane that they were counting on in our favor, and therefore we can sneak away a lot more high cube games as a result. And then Shang-Chi comes in for those big large minions. So if we are running up against a large minion deck, maybe even a Hela deck, we can help clear out an entire lane with the Shang-Chi to make sure that we can lock down and win hopefully 2 of the locations. He helps swing those unfavorable lanes and change them into favorable lanes. And this deck list does have some cool interactions with the featured location, but we're going to run through each of the cards really quickly. First up, we have Adam Warlock. So this deck really operates on having the combo pieces that it needs for that particular matchup in your hand. So if you're running up against a deck list that has Iron Man, Rogue is not going to do you much good if you don't draw into it. Adam Warlock is going to help ensure that we get almost all the way through our deck to help increase the consistency that we draw into all of our combo pieces or tech or counter pieces. We have Rogue, who is going to steal the best ongoing ability we can get. Sometimes this is going to be something as good as an inverted Iron Man. Sometimes it may end up being something like a Wong or an Invisible Woman to force the opponent to accidentally discard their cards early, potentially discarding their Hela. Rogue has a lot of really good uses in this current meta. So until we have a patch, Rogue is back to a place where she feels really solid to run in just about any list. And then we have Groot. Groot is going to be a great follow-up to our Adam Warlock drop. If we drop Adam Warlock into an empty lane, we follow it up with a Groot at 3 cost, 6 power. That is going to be really hard for the opponent to overcome with another 3 cost card. And so a lot of times we can guarantee that we get at least 1 trigger with our Adam Warlock with the Groot play. And then additionally, he's really good in whenever the raft location, the featured location, turns up, because we can reasonably guarantee that they're going to drop resources in that lane. And so then all of a sudden we can be easily triggering our Guardians of the Galaxy cards. And then we have Juggernaut. Juggernaut is absolutely hilarious in the new featured location. So if they drop 2 cards when the first time it reveals and we drop a Juggernaut, we can push those low cost resources out into other lanes. A lot of times that will almost stop them from being able to invest resources in that lane to cap it out because they've dropped their low cost cards. A lot of deck lists don't have that many extra. And so they end up having to start setting up their in-game game plan, and it becomes much tougher for them to cap it out. So I love Juggernaut in this list, especially with the featured location in effect. And then we have Killmonger. This is going to destroy all 1-cost cards. He's a great way to swing some power late game. So if they are relying a little bit too heavily on those 1-cost, 6-power demon tokens, then we can really punish them and capitalize on that swing into our favor. Then we have Maximus. Maximus is typically going to be dropped on our very last turn of the game because he will force the opponent to draw into cards. We can also drop him if they are running something like a discard deck, or they're running something with like a Dracula or a strong guy at the very end. We can force them to draw into cards and then make that either Dracula discard or that strong guy effect almost null and void. And then we have Devil Dino. So with Adam Warlock triggering once or twice, a lot of times we're going to have a pretty decently sized Devil Dino. By the end of the game, it will likely be somewhere between 8 and 10 power. For a 4-cost card, that's huge. And we get a lot of utilization from the Devil Dino. Then we have Shang-Chi. This is going to help us destroy those really high power cards. So they got the high roll, they got an Infinite. They got the high roll, or they got a little greedy and they're running a Venom list. And so they absorb their whole lane. It has 40 power. Well, Shang-Chi can completely counter that lane and help you swing it in your favor. We have Drax. Drax is going to let us really play into our opponent's game plan. If we can read where they're playing power, Drax can be an absolute unit and incredibly pivotal in making sure that we swing a location in our favor. So if we drop this on turn 7 along with a 3-cost card, we can pretty reasonably assess or assume where the opponent will drop their power, and then Drax is going to become a 4-cost 8-power card, which for the cost ratio is massive. Then we have Iron Man. He is, right now, his effect is unmatched. Being able to double the power at a location is absolutely nuts. It can create some really high roll style turns and swing lanes that wouldn't or shouldn't be in your favor into your favor. And then we have Magic. This, in the first couple of games, is not going to be in the list, but she truly deserves to be in this list. This list operates on wanting to extend the game on turn 5 or turn 6, and then on turn 7 being able to drop both a Maximus and a Shang-Chi, a 4 and a 3-cost card respectively, to do a huge power push or power swing on that 7th turn with not only pushing power, but also countering the opponent's biggest power lane. And then finally, we have Doc Ock. Doc Ock is going to be a little bit of disruption. If they are running a deck list that really operates on maybe hitting a certain combo of cards in a certain order, we can drop Doc Ock. That's going to pull in a large portion of their resources. So if Jotunheim is a location that turns up, we can drop Doc Ock. That will force them to have 4 cards in that location. They are each going to get debuffed by 1 power each turn. And so if we extend it to 7, that's going to be negative 12 power between turn 5, turn 6, and turn 7, which is absolutely huge. It's really hard to overcome that if you're able to make that interaction happen. And so that is the rundown of the deck list. We are going to go ahead and jump into a few games. I hope you guys enjoy. All right, so next up we have Healthy Snacks. The first location is Isle of Silence, which feels kind of tough. I think what we're going to do is drop our Yellow Jacket, and then we'll end up dropping Adam Warlock into this far right lane. That almost lets us guarantee that we get at least 1 trigger from his ability. And if we're lucky, we'll draw into something like a Juggernaut where we can guarantee 2, or we can guarantee at least 2 triggers. Ooh, so Groot will work. Being able to drop Groot, that'll be a 6-power play into that right lane, which is going to be really hard to compete with. And so as long as we can get 2 Adam Warlock triggers, and then we draw into the Raft, huge. We already have 2 cards there. We're going to get a Groot, which is going to be phenomenally huge. Let's go ahead and do the Groot, which will trigger off of their card. And then we can actually cap out this location next turn with something like a Devil Dino. I think we do go with Devil Dino. That's going to be our big, huge late game play. Let's go with the Devil Dino. Let's see what 6-cost card we get, and then we can kind of assess from there. So we get a Heimdall, which is not terrible. We're going to be able to shift the power that's here and kind of surprise the opponent, where they're going to be dropping some decent resources in the Raft, and then all of a sudden our entire 24-power lane is going to shift over into the Wakandan Embassy. I do like that a fair bit. And so let's go ahead and drop our Doc Ock. We're going to hold Heimdall for now, and then next turn we'll see. We don't necessarily need to extend the game. I think we're going to be just fine. We'll be able to do both a Heimdall and something like a Maximus or a Heimdall and a Drax, or some large power play like a Shang-Chi into this lane, depending on what we pull in and what resources they have. So they drop 1 card. We're going to pull into all of the other 4 that they have. If it's something like an Iron Man, a Mystique, a Mojo, it's going to be absolutely huge. So they get a Wolfsbane that's pretty large. Oh no, then the Scarlet Witch coming in and changing the location on us. But the Sarah's not going to do them a whole lot of good here. We're not able to destroy any of the cards in this lane, unfortunately. So we have to get at least 10 power in this location without having it fully capped out. But they, of course, have 1 card that they draw into. So it's going to be hard for them to really compete for anything. And so we would be able to do our Heimdall, which would be 8. We could do the Maximus, which would be 9. And that would leave us with 3 additional energy. So we could even do something maybe like a Juggernaut to push whatever they played here off over into the Raft. And I think that's where we would be set. Super hard counter. We probably should have snapped once we realized we were going to have so many cards and we were going to get the Heimdall, or we were going to trigger the Raft. We probably should have snapped at that point, but that is 1 win down. Let's go ahead and jump into the next one. All right, so next up we have Starscream, and the first location is the Raft. So we're going to go ahead and play our Yellow Jacket if we can draw into something like a Juggernaut, that's going to be huge at helping us force them to not cap out that location while giving us the card advantage there. So the second one is Hala. That's not great, and actually we can't play anything on turn 2. So kind of unfortunate. While we're waiting for the turn to play out, though, we are currently at 2,929 subscribers. So we are just barely over needing 70 additional subscribers to hit that next major milestone, 3,000 subs. So if you guys are enjoying the content, but you're not subscribed, definitely consider subscribing. We are doing daily Marvel Snap content. We're not going anywhere anytime soon. And so I would appreciate it if you help hype us up, get us up to that 3,000 mark, which is so huge. And it's so much higher than what I thought was originally possible for the channel. And so I owe that to you guys and just the great community that we have. So I'm going to go ahead and play our Drax into the raft. We're going to lose this kind of showdown. We're going to lose the race to fill up raft, which is kind of unfortunate, but we do have some good counter cards. We can have either Iron Man, or if their cards get large enough, we could do a Shang-Chi. We can do like a Rogue to steal the Captain America. It just depends on what it looks like we need to do. So let's go ahead and do the Drax play here. They do cap it out with a rock though, so they don't have a huge power push. We don't have to push all that much. If they have something like a Killmonger, which I guess would run, right? Being a destruction deck, they should run a Killmonger somewhere in their list. They also probably have like a wave and a death. So now they would have a death and a free card. So if they end up running something like Moon Girl here, we tuck our tails and run. It's not something that we're going to be able to match up against. If they get the high roll and Raft does turn up, it's really tough to beat that. If that is what they drew into. So they drop a Killmonger and then their free other Killmonger and then a Nightcrawler. Okay. Very interesting. So they turn first. We are not going to be able to extend the game, unfortunately. But what we can do is force them to not have their resources here. So we can play a Juggernaut. That's going to guarantee that the 3 power should win us Subterranea. And then I think we play our Maximus into the raft. So even if we push some decent cards over, I think we might have a shot at coming up over them in power. And so I think this is a decent play line. I almost want to snap, just not quite. We want to snap, but we're just not quite there. The Maximus is going to be huge at pushing some additional power in the raft. And then Juggernaut's going to be huge at making sure that, Claw, they push power sideways. That's fine. They're not going to win this one. Do they do it like an Onslaught? Oh, a Hela, interesting. Which with the Maximus is not going to be enough to come up over the power level here. The 3 power Juggernaut, the little Juggernaut that could, does win. So had they played their Claw here, they actually would have won. Interestingly enough, I'm not sure why they really wanted to or needed to try to force that power here, knowing that they had a pretty good lead here already. They could have extended their lead in Subterranean, and there wouldn't have been anything that we could have done to counter it. And so overall, I don't think we deserved that win. The Hela came in pretty clutch. The Claw was decent, but overall, we did end up pulling it out. We're going to go ahead and jump into the next one. All right, so next up we have Vivid 3000s, and the first location is District X, which is incredibly tough for us. I think we still go ahead and play it out. But while we were waiting for the first couple of turns to kind of play through, I do want to give a couple of shout outs from our last lunch live stream. So during our last lunch live stream, we started off with a hugely positive movement or gesture. Todd English started the stream off positively by donating 10 channel memberships so that those viewers will get access to our emojis, our channel badges, all of those additional perks. And then shortly after that ended, or the 10 went out, Jeremiah actually donated 10 additional subs, all within like the first 5 to 10 minutes of the lunch live stream, for a total of 20 new channel members, which is huge. Thank you guys so much. And then additionally, we had Pilk Enjoyer, who used the super chat feature to highlight a message. It sends an amount of money to me to help support me and my content. And it highlights the message. It's just a cool, like, feel-good type of feature. And so thank you. And so thank you, Pilk. Thank you, Jeremiah. And thank you, Todd, for the support and for supporting the channel. So here we are going to go ahead and drop our Juggernaut into the raft. We're going to push these cards off. They pushed quite a few over there, but it's not quite going to be enough after we push them off with Juggernaut. And so for this turn, we do actually win the location. I almost don't want to like cap it out because all of our options are pretty bad here. We don't have any great ways to cap it out and push additional power, but I do want the free 6 cost card. And so we are going to go ahead and play our Khazar. At least we'll get a little bit of upside from the squirrel that comes up. And then we kind of play from there. We have all random cards from District X. And so we might as well play into it where we can. So they drop an additional card. They're really fighting. Oh, Arnim Zola is the card that we got from the raft, and that always feels really awful because you just went and you played all of your cards into this location. If you don't have a way to either clear them, pull them out, move them around, Arnim Zola doesn't do you a whole lot of good because he's going to destroy a card and basically just move it over one to the left or one to the right, but never into both locations like he's intended to do. And so I think we do something like, let's do Vulture, Agent 13, and then Quinjet. If we need to, we can always rogue their Mojo ability, and then depending on what we draw into, Quinjet is going to reduce the cost of all of the cards in our hand, and so we can play off of that a decent amount. Ooh, so Ronin comes in. Luckily we did, maybe we steal that instead. Is that the play line? We can steal their Ronin. That gives us a decent amount of power. It takes away a lot of power in this lane. It's going to take away, essentially right now, 12 power. So it's going to leave them pretty gutted in this location. We could then do a Forge and a Baron Mordo, or we can do a Typhoid Mary if we're really concerned about that Mojo ability. So Typhoid Mary is going to reduce our power by 3 here, by 3 here. These are the ones that count. So that leaves us at 2 and 5 currently. It would push us up to 15. With their 6 power, that'd leave them at 12. I don't think that's worth it. I think what we're going to do is do the Forge and then the Baron Mordo. It doesn't feel like a great play line. That's just going to be 5 power. And so if they do cap this one out, actually, then we're worse off. So let's change it up. Let's go back to stealing this one. We can do the Forge and the Baron Mordo here. That's going to reduce the number of cards or the bonus that they get from their Ronin. Is it enough to win though? That I don't know for sure. So they have 10 power currently. We have 5. We're gonna push 6 power into the District X. Do they have any additional energy that's gonna be absorbed by Sunspot, I wonder? No, they don't. They used all of their energy. Guys, we are getting so fortunate today. Had they played, it looked like, what did they play here on the last turn? Was it the Mr. Sinister? They could have played the Mr. Sinister over here because we didn't have any way to really bump this up in power unless we had like a blue Marvel that maybe we're worried about, because we did get the free 6 cost card. So I guess that's a fair concern. And then they realized we could have played the free 6 cost card in one of these lanes, but they just didn't know that it was a little bit worthless. I do think we got a little bit lucky. Let's go ahead and jump into the next one. All right, so next up we have Rumek, and we did make a slight pivot to the deck list. We took out the Yellow Jacket and we added in Magic. I can't believe that it took me so long to realize that we didn't have Magic in our list. I was too focused on being able to play into the featured location and try to compete for that one that I forgot one of the biggest like combo pieces or combo enablers for the list are Magic. By being able to extend, we can do like a Shang-Chi and a Groot, or a Shang-Chi and a Killmonger. We can do a lot of really good high power things by having that 7th turn. But let's go ahead and pass here. I don't want to give them any additional upside with Squirrels because I thought they were running a destruction deck, but when they throw the Black Widow, I'm not for sure actually. So let's go ahead and play our Groot into the hub. That is 100% where they're going to drop their card this turn. Absolutely no possibility that they play it in Icebox as well. So they play both. So we will take it. They do ramp up, so they're going to have 5 power that they can play next, or 5 energy that they can use next turn. So maybe they have a Professor X that they end up dropping into the Gia. If that is the read, then Drax here becomes worthwhile. That would push us up to 8. The 3 energy here is only going to be 5. That is what I'm reading. Oh no, we were wrong. Okay, so it's just a Yondu. They ramp for a Yondu? Oh my god, we muddied up our draw chance for a Yondu. Oh my gosh. We were so scared, and we did not necessarily need to be. So let's go ahead and do our Iron Man. They have not killed any of the 1-cost cards thus far, which I think is going to be important to know or to note. And so let's go ahead and play our Iron Man onto the Groot here. we will probably draw a rock because we do have three of those rocky things shuffled into our list. Ooh, so they do an Ironheart here. Interesting. This isn't a bot, right? Okay. So let's go ahead and do a Maximus for sure. And then I think we do a Squirrel Girl here. That will add 2 additional power here, which is not huge, but it makes it where they would have to have 11 power to play in the hub. And then Maximus is going to allow them to draw additional cards, but it's a 7 power play, which is a huge push here. And then if they do, I guess if they do a leader play into the Gia, then they actually win this location. It feels kind of bad, and they snapped. They could be running a leader. Some of these don't really feel cohesive, so I'm not sure what they are running. So they drop 2 cards, one into the Gia, one into the hub. We drop our Squirrel Girl. Is the 14 power going to be enough with them split? Ooh, so a Dr. Doom. Ooh, and then a Wasp. So it is enough, just barely enough to cover us in the Gia. That was stressful, guys. The Dr. Doom on the end was really nice. Had they been able to push any additional power other than that into the Gia, they would have absolutely taken it. But luckily for us, they weren't able to. So let's go ahead and rinse and repeat, jump into a new one. All right, so next up we have McBobber. And the first turn, we don't have anything that we can drop. They actually drop an Iceman, which hits our Doc Ock again. Dropping him at 6 cost feels so much harder than making him work at 5 cost. And so we probably won't end up playing our Doc Ock this turn. We will keep our eyes open. Maybe we'll find an opportunity, but more than likely we won't. So they are playing a really low to the ground deck. It looks like they are running a list where they are hoping that this is the featured location, which it is not. So that's very, very good for us. What we can do here is we can do a Juggernaut. Next turn we can do a Devil Dino. I think that will be enough of a power push that we're going to be able to win. I think they've invested too many resources into low-cost cards in their deck to play towards the featured location that I think we're going to have a pretty good, shot at winning here. And so the big cards are not going to be able to be played over into the big house, which is going to be important to note. But we do have our Killmonger to kill this Sunspot. If they have something like an Iron Man that they play here, we'll be able to shoot that down as well with a Rogue. And so I think we're sitting okay. I think we're sitting in a decent spot. The Devil Dino should be fine here. Ooh, the Dracula makes it a little bit iffy. But we do have the upside that we can drop our magic on the final turn to muddy up their draw potential. So we can do magic here, or we can just go ahead and play our Iron Man. And maybe we don't extend the game. Maybe we do our Iron Man. Next turn we do like a Maximus and a Killmonger. So they use the Scorpion, which does hurt. Okay, so we'll be able to take out a decent amount of power in Xandar. We can do Maximus and our Killmonger here. Maximus is going to cause them to draw into 2 additional cards. So whatever they're going to want to drop or have dropped here, it's going to be a little bit harder for them to do that. And I think Iron Man helps us propel this power level, so it's going to be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it's going to be a 22 power lane. Once we take out their Sunspot, maybe we get lucky. We do also take out their Iceman over here, which helps us extend the lead in kill, and just in case we tie in Xandar. So let's go ahead and lock that in. They may extend the game, but that doesn't feel great. Okay, so for the Chavez coming in, and then our Maximus, and then we kill their Sunspot. It's 22 power. Oh no, we're not gonna quite have enough to win the Xandar location, are we? Oh my gosh, no. Why were we so bent on? Oh my gosh. I make misplays as well. So in full transparency, I'm not sure why we didn't play into the big house. We knew that they couldn't play their big powerful cards like their Chavez, like their Infinite, that is typically ran in this like kind of low to the ground Dracula deck. And just dropping Maximus over there gives us 7 power. I was so invested in the Iron Man resource that I kind of ignored Big House, but the winning play was absolutely playing into the Big House location. Having 11 power here, I don't know any combination of 1, 2, and 3 cost cards that they could play that would have gotten them to that point, unless they just had this, which is not typically ran in this style of deck list. So unfortunate, it was a costly mistake. But guys, learn from my misplays. I will put it in my toolbox. I'll learn from it. I'll move on. So let's go ahead and jump into the next one and see if we can work on getting those cubes back. All right, so next up we have Regis. And if I remember right, I think Regis is bot. Am I right? There's no way that that could be Regis killed in. So if it's a bot, that is a very rude bot. They snap on turn 2. So do they have? Because they didn't play Psylocke, which typically whenever I snap like that, it's because I have like the perfect ramp. Interesting. So I'm gonna go ahead and play our Juggernaut here. I hope that they drop some resources into this lane and we can shoot them over into Murder World. That is going to be like the ideal play line that we can play. And so let's go ahead and do the Juggernaut. They don't drop any resources over into the raft. Unfortunate for us, but that is okay. That is how it goes sometimes. So we draw into our Maximus. We can still only play one card here. Let's go with the Groot. We're gonna go with the Groot play. Next turn we might even do a magic to pull this out. If not, maybe we do something like a couple of low cost cards. And so then they have the Mr. Negative. They're not going for the raft at all. They're completely ignoring this location. They do have Mr. Negative, so maybe they're running something really high end that we may need to try to counter. And so maybe they end up drawing into an inverted Iron Man. Maybe they extend the game with magic for us. But I do think we could continue to push our resources into the raft slowly but surely. We're gonna end up capping that location out. Okay, so the Wolfsbane is huge here. It's not big enough for us to do any kind of like Shang-Chi or destruction in that manner or that way. So I think I think I'm going to go ahead and extend the game. That will give us a 0 cost 6 power card just before we turn this location. And then we'll be able to get a little bit of an additional read on what they have or what power level they're going to be pushing. But capping this one out does feel a little bit tough for us. Okay, and so then we get a leader, which, oh, so they do drop the magic. So we did waste our 5 energy. We could have done something like an Iron Man there. But unfortunately we didn't have it, or we didn't play it in that way. Okay, so here we can steal their Mr. Fantastic here, which doesn't feel fantastic. What else do we do? Or what else can we do? We can do a Drax, we can do Rogue, and then we could do Leader. So it comes down to if they have enough resources to swing 19 power in the Limbo location, which knowing a good high roll Mr. Negative deck, they absolutely do. They have 3 resources in hand. They haven't played a Mystique. They haven't played an Iron Man. We're going to go ahead and tell them, thumbs up, I'm losing. But we are going to keep hope alive. Maybe we can hit the lucky leader play here. Ooh, which actually, depending on what they drop and where, if this is the... Oh, that feels bad. If this is the Mystique... No, they go first. So we would copy whatever their Mystique... copied in and of itself. So they only drop 1 card. They drop a Blue Marvel in Limbo. We are going to be able to copy their Blue Marvel. We get the Drax upside. We get the Rogue, which steals the Mojo ability. We are then going to cap out the Limbo location with the Blue Marvel that we copied. We're going to get the additional 6 from Rogue. Oh my gosh, we swing it. We swing it in our favor. I can't even. So we didn't get 100% of our cubes back, but we got a very large portion. And we went toe-to-toe with a Mr. Negative deck. Of course, it wasn't the Sarah Negative deck. They didn't run the Iron Man, but had they ran the Iron Man, we would have copied that. And so we would have had the upside in that lane. As long as they couldn't push enough power in Limbo, we were absolutely fine there. Oh my gosh, what a fantastic way to end the video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave it a like and a comment down below. And then if you are watching this early, make sure to stick around. We are going to have a lunch live stream a few hours after this goes live, where we navigate the deck live, we interact with chat, and it's just an incredibly good time. So if you haven't experienced one of our live streams, maybe jump over and check it out. See if it's up your alley. Anyways, guys, I hope that you enjoyed the video. This has been TLSG. Later, guys.